This half-hour show, it's about stopping, preventing, reversing type 2 diabetes. What a lot of people don't realize, you can get rid of type 2 diabetes, yeah, about a month or less. Yeah, that's simple. Yet most providers, never, frankly, bring it up. Here's your medication, and off you go. 90% of the time, you could get rid of your diabetes about a month or so. I teach it at the Three Rivers Pharmacy every Friday for free from 9 to 12. Just call Sheila Walker, 373-1083. Make the appointment, and I'll see you once a month till it's gone. Why wouldn't you want to do that when you can avoid maybe 50 illnesses by doing that? Yeah, I mean, what are other illnesses? Dementia. The biggest cause of memory loss is not Alzheimer's disease. It's diabetes. It's clearly in the literature. I can throw you many books at that, yet it's rarely brought up. Yeah, what it is that when we have pre-diabetes or regular full-blown type 2 diabetes, remember type 1 is the pancreas dead, you got to take insulin. That's type 1, usually seen in children, can be seen in adults. You've had type 2 long enough, and your pancreas is sick and tired of secreting so much insulin to get sugar into your cells for energy. The pancreas poops out. Then you have type 1 also. So when you had oral meds before, and now you got to take insulin also. But then again, it's been found in type 2, even where you take insulin, you start eating right, which I'll describe to you, the pancreas can wake back up in most cases. A lot of times, people, by the time they're diagnosed with type 2, the pancreas is 50% dead, but it's still partially alive. That can be reversed through proper nutrition, a little bit of exercise, not a lot. Did I say diet? No, I didn't say diet. I said proper eating. Most of us, we're a fast food nation. Dr. Furman wrote a book by that name. We're eating food that's been stripped of the nutrients, and diabetes develops. See, our body wants a certain amount of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and if you're eating bad food, food without nutrients, you'll keep on eating, seeking them, because your body needs them. But if you eat 70–80% foods of color, you can add mushrooms and onions, they don't have color. 70–80% of the time, the weight will just fall off you. Mm-hmm. It's true. One thing that's interesting to me a little bit too, you know, I spoke about getting rid of type 2 diabetes. I really think that even if you get stage 1 or 2 renal disease, occasional number 3 stage, and you might even have a peritoneal catheter, you start eating the right way and exercising the right way, you might get rid of that renal disease. That's not been well studied in the literature. I brought it up to a major renal doctor recently who made his living doing that, even nationally. Well, I thought it could be done, but I wasn't sure. Well, it amazes me that he never tried it. Yeah. He's supposed to call me, educate me about that. He never did. So I'm here talking about it. So to follow your renal test a little bit, you know, your creatine level, your BUN level, and see if it's changing. Could be another way of screening. The main thing that I recommend, frankly, is early testing to catch you even before pre-diabetes. How could you tell if you're on the path to type 2 diabetes, where you make too much insulin, you have insulin resistance, okay? Versus type 1, where the pancreas is dead. Incidentally, the type 1 is more common in people who have been attacked by a virus. They can knock out the pancreas, but a significant amount is due to drinking milk. Don't believe me? Read Whitewash by Joe Keon. Whitewash by Joe Keon. It's well described in there. Rarely meet a pediatrician that knows that. You got to read the book, read Whitewash, don't change. Read Whitewash by Joe Keon, and find that milk's proteins, a lot of them can cause a reaction and knock out the pancreas. well known. Gluten can do it too. So get some gluten testing can be of value. So it isn't just the virus. Gluten can do it. Milk can do it. So you need to check on those things. But let's get back to type 2 and pre-diabetes. What are signs of it? Well, being overweight, that's 75% of it, but it's not the whole thing. The people called the trophies, thin on the outside, fat on the inside, and they're thin, but they have abnormal blood work in the type 2 diabetics. Yeah. So you are what your blood work is, not just what you look like. Okay. And recently, I'm going to give a lecture in June at Lutherans on YouTube. You are what your biome is, but that's a little harder to test for. Okay. Those trillions of bacteria that live in there, that's who you really are. They run the metabolism of your body. But let's get back to the blood work. What would be good screening? The best screen test is your weight. Are you overweight? Kids can have it. They got a pot belly, they're probably diabetic. You get a pot belly, odds are you're diabetic. The best blood test is belly measurement. Yeah, if you're a woman and your belly's bigger than your hips, you're probably diabetic. If you're a man, your chest is bigger than your belly, you're probably diabetic. And there are ratios on that. But again, blood testing leads the way. And Mark Kachmann, who wrote a book called Blood Sugar Solutions, and you can print off the internet 72 pages, How to Speak to Your Doctor. Very informative, very informative. And what he has determined, he put diabetes into 5 stages, which you speak to most providers, they're not even aware of that. Actually, remember Atkins? You know, we kind of badmouth Atkins, too much meat. Well, let me tell you, Atkins wrote a very good book, and I think it's page 356, the original book. He reviewed El DeFranco, the most famous diabetologist in the world from Texas, who I spoke to on the phone a month ago. 62 articles that he wrote, and Atkins reviewed those many years ago. And he came up also with stages of diabetes, just like Mark Hyman. I wonder if Hyman got it from that. Like stage 1 diabetes, for example, you get a fasting blood sugar, it may be normal, okay? But then you run a glucose tolerance test and get a serum insulin, and it's elevated. Blood sugar normal, serum elevated after glucose tolerance test, stage 1 diabetes. Lose 8% of your body weight, probably gone, cleared up. Stage 2, you don't run a glucose. You do run a glucose tolerance test now. Okay, stage 1, no glucose tolerance test. Stage 2, you run a glucose tolerance test. In the fasting blood sugar, again, normal glucose tolerance test indicates your serum insulin's elevated. Stage 2. Stage 3, you don't run just get a fasting blood sugar, serum insulin, they're both elevated. You see the point? There's a progression going on, and you can print that off of a sheet I hand out for free at a lot of my lectures. So that's a good way of testing elevated serum insulin, because your cells have on them receptors, and if you're eating a lot of sugar, sugary foods, that converts to triglycerides, make these receptors sticky, and insulin cannot get sugar in the cells for energy to make ATP. Okay, that's insulin resistance, and if you have that, that's a good way to detect it. Also, metabolic syndrome is something we used in early stages. Put the insulin resistance at the middle. Belly measurement is one way. Fasting blood sugar is another. Elevated triglycerides is another. Over 75, say. A low HDL, that's the heavenly cholesterol. Okay, and elevated very low density cholesterol. Number of particle size and increased particle number. The large cholesterol, which they use a lot today, androstatins, is almost irrelevant. It's the very low density LDL count, the particle number, 1,000 particle size. And that can make a metabolic syndrome early in the stages. So there's a path to diabetes: increased weight gain, run the glucose tolerance test, or just blood sugars going up above 85, you start worrying. 126, they say you get diabetes. But I tell you, I think the figures are lower than that. And the thing you need to know is that the complications of diabetes can occur in pre-diabetes. That's why I want you to get a work early, because if you can avoid the effects, about 50 illnesses, dementia is one of them. But they've now shown, there was a research paper out 3 years ago by a woman from Yale University, and she said that we have an IDE enzyme, insulin degrading enzyme, that degrades insulin to get rid of it. So if you're pre-diabetic, you have elevated insulin, normal blood sugar, all the IDE enzyme is used up. But what's the other job of IDE enzyme? Listen carefully. To metabolize amyloid, the cause of Alzheimer's disease. Yeah. So who gets most of Alzheimer's disease? The genetic people? No. The diabetics. Most of Alzheimer's disease could be avoided by getting rid of your diabetes. So dementia is huge. Strokes, heart attacks, thyroid disease, all from type 2 diabetes. Liver disease, renal disease. Fatty liver is common from diabetes. There's fat in the liver, which you can't tell from looking on the outside. I used to see it a lot because I did spine surgery, so I saw a lot of CTs of the belly and would see fat in the liver all the time in overweight people, all the time. That causes insulin resistance. A lot of times now people, it's so bad they need a liver transplant. Can you imagine your life, the hell you got to go through to get that done? They say in the future that liver transplant might be the most common operation that we do, even more common than renal transplants. You know, renal disease, most of the people in dialysis have to come in every day, get dialyzed, have diabetes. And the outlook for the majority of them is not the best. And when you think about it, a lot of that could have been avoided by proper nutrition, taking a walk, a little bit of exercise. And let's speak about a little bit more. So what's next? Amputations. Saw a patient today at the clinic who had sores on her feet. So what do you think is next? Dislocated joints, amputated toes, amputated lower legs, amputated upper legs. Occasionally it gets so bad they have to amputate the arms. Avoidable through proper eating. And what type of food should you be eating? More vegetables and fruit, maybe at most 2 or 3 meals of meat a week. Otherwise, they increase rates of cancer. But there's no diet. Eat all you want, because the foods you're eating are full of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals that run the metabolism of your body. And as soon as that nutrient need has been met, you won't be hungry anymore. I tell you a good way to do it. I would say a smoothie a day will keep the doctor away. Even on my website, Kachmann, Facebook, KachmannHealth.com, I have all kind of recipes there. You can get them from other books, and I'm going to hold one up in a minute. Is because the nutrigenic machine, which is a little cheaper, will break up the cellular structure and release a lot of vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals, fill your body full of them, and you won't be hungry. I really hungry till 4 or 5 o'clock because I had a smoothie every day. My wife and I have a smoothie every day, and make different ones. I'm writing a book now with 20 of them in there. Other books have them in there. Kale could be a big item, and frozen fruit and fresh fruit, and some nuts, some ginger, some curcumin, and buy them in quantity. And you say it's too expensive. No. If you buy them in quantity, it's cheap. Frozen fruit is frozen the minute it's picked, so it's extremely healthy, full of the nutrients that you want. It's the interaction, their rainbow, their mosaic that lead to good health. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people that I follow, many different authors, many books that I've read. I mean, I have my library at home in the basement. I probably get 50 books on diabetes. Yeah, so because I'm open to other opinions, okay? But it's pretty consistent now that Dr. Joel Fuhrman, he wrote a book, End of Diabetes, Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Excellent book. Many of you may have heard of it. He was in town the other day, a month ago maybe now, stayed at my house. Yes, he wouldn't come unless he could stay at my house. The morning of his lecture at the First Assembly Church, I played him tennis for 2 hours, like I had before. I really wonder if he came to town just to play me tennis, to be honest with you, because I beat him the last time. This time it was a tie. And it's a true story, though. Excellent way. He teaches nutrient way of eating, very experienced. He's world famous. He's been on the Oz Show. And but actually, you know, the original book that I wrote that got me onto this road to preventing, stopping, reversing diabetes, which is critical. I can stop 50 diseases, for Pete's sake. What doctor wouldn't want to do that? Okay? I read this book called The 30-Day Miracle, Diabetes Miracle, Franklin House. That really turned me onto the subject because he thought he could get rid of diabetes for people in 30 days. I think it's quicker than that, and you get to check your blood sugar more often if you decide to eat the right way. Mark Hyman, who wrote Blood Sugar Solutions, Mark Hyman. Eat Fat, Be Thin, Mark Hyman, very famous. You can print out 72 pages of his stuff from the internet, free. Used to be free, at least. And it's excellent. Remember, he had the good way of testing. What is he saying is that your blood sugars probably normal if you eat correctly in a week. Yeah. Why would he say that? I tell you, I believe that. Partly is when remember I spoke about the biome, those trillions of bacteria that run the metabolism of your body in your gut. They're living things. They're in there. But you know what the lifespan of one bacteria is? 20 minutes. 20 minutes. So you can see if you eat differently, the bacteria change very quickly. They run the metabolism of your body. So the 30-Day Miracle is a great book. And you'll need to stop oral medications probably in a week or two, maybe insulin, less than a month, 2 weeks maybe. But if you're going to eat this differently, tell your doctor and check your sugars more often. I think it's very important, okay? Very important. And because know the symptoms of hypo and hyperglycemia. You can print it off the internet. I've got it on there. So you know what a low blood sugar is, and low blood sugars more dangerous than high blood sugars, okay? You get 40, you get trouble. And so if you're eating right, it can drop quickly, and with the medication may make it accentuate the whole problem, okay? So another book I really like is the Fuhrman book, End of Diabetes. Fuhrman wrote it, and my name's back. The book, have reviewed it, okay? We sold over 2 million copies. It was New York Times bestseller list, I think 2.5 years. I just reviewed it. I mean, Fuhrman's the famous guy, but he's a friend of mine, tennis buddy too. And I go to his camps all over the world, so I know a lot about the story. Another good book I like is Dr. Wes Youngberg, Goodbye Diabetes, okay? Goodbye Diabetes, Dr. Wes Youngberg. He went to the island of Guam for 15 years. The island of Guam had been flattened by the Japanese. These gorgeous Asian natives, I have pictures of them. Then they had to eat American food because they couldn't eat the vegetables and fish they used to eat and catch. So they ate American food and Spam. 99% became diabetic, 99%. So he taught them proper nutrition and stuff and wrote this book, Goodbye Diabetes. Is that enough proof? I can give you more books. I was a little disappointed when I went to the head of the Public Health State of Indiana maybe a year ago. He hadn't read one of them. And his diabetic educator, Lisa King, who taught the whole state, hadn't read them either. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Then I wrote a book on the whole subject too, because I get excited about it, and it's excited because it's an opportunity for you to change and get rid of this horrible disease. We can cause 50 other diseases. The scam, the racket, the fraud of type 2 diabetes, the book I wrote. You see, can you see I got excited? Yeah. Because it is a scam, it is a racket, it is a fraud to let you have this illness. Every doctor visit should be dominated by education and how to get rid of it. It's not done at most diabetic centers. I know the people that work there. They like what I'm doing, but they don't. What's missing? This? I don't know. But it's sure not missing for me. It is a scam, the racket. The government allows you to have this illness. Maybe it's the drug companies selling insulin. Could be. I know Eli Lilly gave $35 million to the pharmacy school. That's what built it. Suppose they had given it for education, how to get rid of diabetes. What do you think would have happened? Okay, enough said. You make your own conclusions. If you don't want to read anything and do anything, just want to eat right, which is all you got to do, no diet, okay? Get this Eat to Live Quick Fix book by Dr. Furman, cookbook. I found it very effective. I cook out of it. Let's say my wife cooks out of it. God, I hope she didn't hear me say that. And it has pictures of every meal. It has smoothies, soups, snacks, I mean, everything, desserts even. Everything in there, don't have to read a thing. And in fact, I turn to it once a week at home, and I'll do it right now. I'll open it up, and I say, that's what we're going to have tonight. And this is a green bean salad with lemon basil vinaigrette. That'll be the salad tomorrow. That's how I do it. It's always a picture of it. Tells you how to make it. Makes it very simple. You do this. You do this for a month. I'll eat my hat if you still got diabetes. Okay? Eat all you want. Eat all you want. Because once you met your nutrient need, what happens to your appetite? It goes away. It goes away. So it's a beautiful way. I don't want you to follow a diet like Weight Watchers, which is maybe the better of the ways of industry trying to change you. Vegetables and fruit, all you can eat, no points. But they give you points for the other food, okay? I don't know what it is, 20 or 30 points. And you eat anything you want to. What I don't like about that is, and I've been to Weight Watchers, give a talk one time, what I don't like about it is when you're eating anything you want to, you're not overcoming your sugar addiction. And when I was there speaking to them, I had 20 overweight people one side, 20 the other, very nice people. And I appreciate the privilege of having spoken there. But I mean, I can see they're all diabetic. Every one of them's diabetic. But how many knew they were diabetic? 10%. I mean, that's sinful. That's sinful. I've even offered $5,000 for anybody that can get me to talk to Oprah for a half hour. So far, I've not been successful because I would like her to embrace that and change it somewhat because the tremendous influence that she has, and I know she loves people. So I just can't give up and say, have your diabetes and come to my program and pay the money and I'm happy. I don't accept that. That's the reason I see people for free at the pharmacy because it's so common. Type 2 diabetes, 1 out of 2 are pre-diabetic in this area and across the nation. And so it's not that hard to do it. What about exercise? Take a walk every day, be good enough, you know? And what percent of the people work out regularly? 3.5%. That's been studied. You wouldn't believe it. I thought 20. No, it's 3. I checked it at Planet Fitness. That show up regularly. 30,000 members. 8 were there working out on a Saturday morning. You can see the problem. But at least they have in mind to do something about it. So I think just taking a walk with a dog or Just standing up gets you away from what's called sitting disease. I wrote a book on that. You can get it on Amazon. It's called sitting disease. If you sit for 2 hours, it's like smoking a pack of cigarettes, and your sugar and fat metabolism is turned off, so you're much more likely to become diabetic. This is based on NASA research, and you hear much more about sitting disease. So I think a great way, though, to become healthy is to, I look at your calorie burn for the day. Activity of living is maybe 30–40% of it. So if you can increase your activity of living, walking, standing up when you're on the phone, parking your car far away, then walking to the market or at work, playing a little bit of music, for example, or developing a sport that you love, or take up dancing, tap dancing like I do. At least I'm vertical, okay? And tennis, pickleball, things that I play. But you don't have to go to those extremes. Some increase your activity of living, there's 30%. You increase it 200 calories a day, that's 20 pounds in a year. So it's easy. You get rid of 20 pounds, for most people, they get rid of their pre-diabetes and diabetes. Some of it take a bit more than that. But or get a stand-up desk where at work you're standing up while you're working, or a treadmill desk when you're working. A lot of different ways, and that's coming. I know some companies now that have a lot of stand-up desks. If you request it, buy one at home. When you're on the computer, maybe stand up, and some people get in a treadmill. That increases your activity of living, and if you get a little bit of a weight problem, you lose it while you're at work. Wouldn't that be greatest? I mean, I have to admire factory workers. They are very busy walking up and down, and they wouldn't have any trouble with activity of living. But what they do have trouble with, I've noticed after speaking there, that a lot of them are stressed or whatever reason, a lot of them are smoking. Then one told me, who saw me at McDonald's getting a cup of coffee, and he said, "Doc, you realize a lot of us drink alcohol too." So can you imagine a lot of alcohol, 70% of smoking? And there's a reason. These are wonderful people. But what's the reason? Maybe stress in their life, tight with the finances. But remember, smoking might cost you $1,000 a month. Yeah, the effects on the house, the effect on the pets. But sugar, I always tell when I speak to college students, sugar's the hooger and the booger. Okay, so we want you to eat some fats, good fats, omega-3 fats, guacamole, some nuts, for example. But anyway, thanks for listening to this program. I think I've summarized it fairly good for you. I want you to get rid of your diabetes. 90% chance you could do it. Proper eating, a little bit of exercise. Look at my YouTube shows. Come to my lectures. See me for free at the pharmacy. I'll see you once a month till it's gone. And you'll avoid 50 other illnesses, diseases, many of which are horrifying, from dementia to amputations, renal transplants, liver transplant. Avoidable. I do this because I love you, care about you. Physician means teacher. I try to be a teacher, but I want you to know I come from science. I own 1,200 books, and I read them all, some many times, partly because of these TV shows. Namaste. Thanks again.